You're listening to the Wellness with Kim show, bringing you the very best in natural health and wellness, with engaging interviews, new discoveries, and time-tested tips from leading experts in natural health. And now your host, Kim Isles.
Hey everybody, it's Kim Isles here from Wellness with Kim, and I'm with, honestly, one of my all-time favorite people that I interviewed for many, many years, Wayne Elliott. How are you doing, Wayne?
Always well, thanks, dear. How you doing?
You know what? Like, I was thinking about it earlier. You and I did a show every week for years, like
Forever.
years.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we're definitely, I think at one time in a chat or something, you said something about, I don't know if you called us pioneers or if you called us warriors, or what are
Both.
we?
We're both.
Pioneer
We're both.
warriors?
You got to keep fighting the fight because you've got Western medicine and all the evildoers against us, and
So much.
so you got to be a warrior. And uh, um, you know, we keep doing what we're doing because we're
Yep.
helping people. I know you're the same. You and Greg are the same as me, and
Yep.
that's the juice we get out of it, and or our mojo, as some people say.
Yeah.
And the other half is my angst against the evildoers, and I want to succeed despite them.
Yeah. Yeah. So where do you want to start, Wayne? Like I've told like my story 100 times of why heart disease and stroke and all of that is so important to me. And then how you and I met was obviously through Strauss Heart Drops. But let's just, well, do you want to recap how you got to work with Jim Strauss?
Yeah, it was pretty simple, really. I had a heart attack on my front lawn at my youngest son's. I think it was his 5th birthday party. So 36 years ago, at age 35. Yeah, that's how long ago it was. And after the sledgehammer in the chest that knocked me down, I didn't know I was down till I could see again. There was no pain. And I knew I had a heart attack, but never being in big favor of pills and pharmaceuticals, and certainly a fear of surgeries and so forth. I've been lucky with all my broken bones. They've never had to patch me up with metal parts. So when the pain and the symptoms started 6 months later, I never even looked. It just always amazes me about myself how dumb I was, really, Kim. I never even considered natural at the time, but I did make plans to die. That's what I did. Everything out of my name and so forth. Thought I'd be the youngest in the family to go with heart. And then 5 years later, I refused everything: surgery, pills, all of it. Irregular heartbeat by that time, high blood pressure, angina. And then the very luckiest day of my life, when my friend Ted called me to tell me his bypass surgery had been canceled by taking these Strauss Heart Drops. And boy, I called. I said, let me get off the phone, Ted. I got the name, called right out there, got a bottle express shipped to me. When I ordered the second bottle, I was impressed enough, but I thought, geez, maybe it's just me, who knows? And I ordered 100 bottles and did my own little study. And it was unanimous. It helped everyone in one way or another. My oldest son was the youngest person. I think he was 19 then. He never slept in again. To this day, he gets up at 3 a.m, studies the sports papers, goes in to do his job running one of the yards at 7 or earlier if he's got work to do. And, the rest is history, really. I've never stopped taking it. I learned when I finally met Jim Strauss, like my 5th month taking it, I said, Jim, I'm a new man. I got energy. Like, it's fabulous. I can't thank you enough, but I still have high blood pressure. He said, then it's your kidneys. I didn't even know they had other products. I'd never seen a pamphlet or anything. Just my friend Ted told me. So I went on the kidney blood pressure for 3 months. And then for 29 years, until I got myocarditis after my 3rd bout with COVID, My blood pressure, my arrhythmia, everything went crazy. I know why it killed a lot of people. I'll tell you, 29 years, no matter what I did, up 2 nights without sleep, stress, didn't matter, 120 over 70, which I think is pretty amazing. Till age 69 when I got the myocarditis. Um, and all I did, that myocarditis, was carried on with the 3 products that saved me in the first place: the heart drops, the kidney, and the cardiocom. And I'd be lying if I said my irregular heartbeat was 100% regular. Still, it's not. It's fairly close. And my blood pressure isn't as good as it used to be. Acceptable level, I guess. But that myocarditis has a real good chance of damaging your heart. And there's a couple of things that they say is caused by it. But I keep working at it to get it down to where it was. But I've never taken a pill, never will. And so without those amazing products, I'm telling you, talk about a life changer, Ken. It's the most profound thing that's happened in my life, you know. And then my relationship with Jim, where I learned so much about health and nature that I didn't know. Definitely the most profound relationship in my life.
Let's talk a little bit though about your background, because I think that's really important for people to know. Number one, like you had a very stressful job, but you were also exposed to a lot of chemicals your whole life.
Oh, yes. I imagine our company with the shipbreaking has done as much asbestos abatement as anyone in the country. Yeah, we deal with a lot of nasty stuff. And then when I got into the battery business, as you know, and that's, I don't know, it's 40 something years ago, lithium, mercury, cadmium, lead again. So yeah, I've worked with some terrible stuff and managed to stay healthy since I found Strauss, or Strauss found me. And I'm very grateful for that, of course. Most of my life spent in the recycling business. Shipbreaking was the main business, scrap metal, auto parts. I used to wonder, Kim, how it seemed to me for years and years I did nothing but drive in the car, site to site, and speak on the phone. And, we had up to 8 locations. I don't know whether that was wise or not, because there's an overhead with every location, truck scale, somebody answer the phone, land taxes, But anyway, we managed even when I wasn't sure we were gonna had some difficult times, but everybody doesn't matter what business you're in. And but my main job today is Strauss. The boys, my sons, have taken over everything else and expanded. They're out in British Columbia now doing, I guess, 4 ships, and so they're doing good as far as that goes. I have to somehow learn to relax and not work all the time, and that's very hard for me. It's all I've ever done. I have no hobbies. I played a little golf, but I hate the game. I was just going out because I like the guys.
So talking about, so let's talk about people that you like. So how did you like that first meeting with Jim Strauss? How was that, and when was that?
Well, that's wow. I guess that's 30 years ago. And boy, it just didn't take long. I thought the world of him. And then, as you know, I think from that visit on, he rode the train back to Ontario with me. He wasn't crazy about flying either. And he held court in the coffee and tea car every day with everybody. And he lived with me and my family twice a year for a month for 6 years. And I just never stopped learning from him. And what amazes me, Kim, is that he never said one thing that didn't turn out to be true. Because I used to doubt some things, and I'd say, geez, I wish you wouldn't say that at the lectures. And he'd tell me I was naive, and he was right. He
Mhm.
was right. Money is the root of all evil, Kim. So it
Yeah.
doesn't stop with our health or anything else. I mean, um, so, just a great relationship. I miss him. I'll tell you that. It was one of my favorite times when I'd be with him. But I told him I would carry on the work, and that's what I've done, and I'm really happy about that. So I'm
Yeah.
almost down to semi-retired, which I'm resisting like a son of a gun. I don't like it because I've just never done anything else but work.
Yeah.
But it was great getting the time to come and see you and Greg a month or so ago, and
Yes,
that
that was
wonderful
awesome.
hair follicle test.
Yeah.
Between the supplements that it showed I needed or that I was deficient in, and getting more physically active. Do you remember I had an attack the night
Hmm.
before I met you guys with this
Yep.
jumping arthritis? Touch
Yep.
wood, touch wood. I haven't had one since.
Oh my
And
gosh, Wayne, that's amazing.
yes, instead of every other day, I don't want to jinx myself, but it's
No.
been a month now,
Yep.
and I'm very happy with that. And I think between what I was deficient in and getting more active. I painted my house and did some other, that was the main thing, but just getting active again,
Mhm.
getting, doing something. So
Yep.
I'm going to be sure to keep doing that. I'm not going to get, sit on the couch or sit around anymore. It's no good.
Yeah.
No good. We're given
So
arms and legs for a reason.
so we talked about you and I used to talk like almost every show about the Strauss Heart Drops. Was that the flagship product for Jim Strauss, or what product did he start with?
Well, he started with over 50 other formulas that some of them were 6 and 7 generations old. The heart drops were created by Jim and his son Peter for Jim after a massive heart attack in 1980.
Right.
They told Jim he could die that day. He was lucky, I guess he was less than a block from the Vancouver hospital. He wheeled right into emergency, laid on his horn. They did a bunch of tests, told him what was wrong with him. I think it was they wanted to bypass 4 or 5 arteries.
Mm.
Told him he could be dead that day otherwise. Instead, he took a medical helicopter back to Kamloops. And I've heard the story many times from both of them, but in a matter of a few hours, with their craft of tasting herbs, they created the Strauss Heart Drops. They didn't know, of course, how much to take. So when Pete made the tincture, Jim was taking about a month's supply every day. What we would consider would last you a month, he was taking daily because he didn't know. And in 2.5 weeks, he had terrible angina pain, couldn't lay down, couldn't walk. So everything was in that easy chair that he had. And in 2.5 weeks, he walked to his mailbox. In 6.5 weeks, he returned to work for 25 years. No pills,
Wow.
no surgery, healthy heart. And I think he lived into his 87th year. Um, and then, God bless him, choked to death. Aspiration or whatever they call that is how he died.
Oh,
He
wow.
did he did get dementia in that last year or so. So obviously that didn't help him. But boy, he fixed a lot of people, Kim. He helped a lot
Mhm.
of people. And that's just same as you and Greg, that's what I try and do now. It just, no pun intended, but it warms my heart when I can be just some small part of helping someone. I didn't make the herbs. I'm not an herbalist. I had nothing to do with that. But as the messenger, just to be some small part is still very rewarding.
Well, creating the awareness, right? Because like you said earlier, Wayne, everybody, well, now probably more than ever, people just think there's one way to go, pharmaceuticals, right? Because that's foremost, it's just pumped into us. And you and I have talked different times about commercials on TV,
Oh,
and the
God.
commercials tell you, ask your doctor for this, right? Like So we've gone so far the other way. And that's why you and I enjoy, and Greg enjoy doing what we do.
Well, they asked about 10 years ago, they did a survey with doctors saying, if you could say anything to your patients, what would you like to say? And the overwhelming response was, stop asking for so many drugs. You know, you see the commercial on TV.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
if they don't pay attention to the potential harms, but
Yeah.
apparently people want, you know, they glamorize it, right? Beautiful people, sunny days, nice cars, convertibles, and so forth. So they do glamorize it. But that's what doctors said. And the doctor that I work with, Dr. Michael Garko, we do our webinars, and I was on his show every week for years in Florida. He was asked a while ago on CBS TV in an interview, and he'd never been asked this before, what bothers you the most about what you do, trying to help people with their health? And he said, he had to think for a moment. He said, I guess what bothers me the most is we never think it'll happen to us. You know, despite the facts that 1 out of 2 men will have serious prostate trouble in their life, 1 out of 2 of us will have heart issues in our life. For some reason, as we roll along in good health, we just don't think it'll happen to us. So there isn't a lot of prevention done, Kim. And of course, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. It's a heck of a lot easier to avoid a heart attack than fight your way back after one.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. So my own wish is that we could get people in their 30s and 40s starting to, don't have to be full time, but if, you know, a bottle of Heart Drops once a year, for example. The other products like the kidney blood pressure, the prostate, bladder, and so forth, a couple of months every couple of years, you know. And I think it would really change the whole health picture. I really do, because I've seen, Kim, the benefits of people that had heart attack, had grayish blue lips and skin, took one bottle, and their color was even again and normalized. So every drop works, you know, we know that. And I guess that's what I wish, is that people would think a little more about prevention. Now, I'm no one to talk. Mr. Milkshake, you know, ridiculous a day, and gave myself a heart attack at that age. So I'm certainly not one to talk. I thought if you're an athlete and everything looks good on the outside, everything's okay. Well, that's not necessarily the case. My love of milkshakes almost killed me.
Right? You played football. I remember you talking about playing football and just eating massive amounts of beef and, you know, dairy and all of that, right?
My dad, when we would have roast beef at home, he would get a 7 or 8 pound roast, and I would eat 5 of it, which is just ridiculous. I mean, I was like a wolf, for goodness sakes. I should have known that wasn't going to work out in the end. And milkshakes from morning till night. I mean, I could live on them. To this day, it's my favorite food, but now it's a twice a year treat. You know, I can't do that anymore. The chocolate milk the same way. But so yeah, we've got to we have to use our own common sense to a certain extent, and of course, people do need. I've just proven it to myself again. You've got to remain a little bit active, you know, physically and mentally, or you can lose one, the other, or both. You know, you don't have to be in the gym pumping heavy weights or anything, but you going for walks, doing some exercises. I just started for the first time some Tai Chi. And I know some people have been doing it for decades with great success. And so I'm giving that a try. Just myself. I don't go to a class or anything. And I just think it's important, you know, and it only gets more important, Kim, as you get older. You know, the odds are against us. I mean, biology, you can't beat biology. We're not meant to last 100 years. You know, we're just not built for that. Not to say a person can't, but it's no one gets out alive. So know.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the cell well-being. That we can actually do a whole episode about that another time. But for people to find out how to prevent things like knowing like a GPS, right? When you left Chatham and had to get back to your home, you had to put in where you were starting from, right?
Right.
And so that's kind of the thing with the cell well-being. Like people need to know what's going on with their cells to be able to correct things.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great, and you know, I'm my own worst enemy always. I've wanted for years to come down and have Greg do that, as you know, do that hair
Yep.
follicle test. And as they say, we don't, I'm a classic example of not treating yourself first. And, you know, I mean, it's a 4 hour drive. I could have been down there years ago and maybe
Yeah.
been in better shape today. So we really, when it comes to our health, we really ought to consider ourselves first. I mean,
Hmm.
people have said to me, Wayne, you know, if you get sick or you die, you can't help anybody. And
It's
it's
true.
true. It's true,
Yeah.
right? But you know, football player, you think you're bulletproof. Well, you're not bulletproof. Nobody is.
Yeah.
And you've got to look after yourself. So, yeah,
So,
that's the new me. I'm trying to look after myself now.
well, it's about time. But I,
Yeah.
I remember one of the shows that you and I did, and you were talking about one of the, not necessarily early predictor, but
Oh, yeah.
the earlobe, what'd you call it?
A crease.
Yes.
Earlobe
Yeah.
crease. Yeah, people can Google if you want to see a picture of it and read a little bit about it. If you Google Frank, the man's name, Frank's crease, it'll show you his ear. And it is Harvard first discovered this in 1972. Now, no one ever heard this from a medical doctor, and I don't imagine you ever will. But Harvard Medical was the first to discover that the earlobe crease, I have one in both ears, which ends up meaning I was clogged on both sides, is the best, not only the best predictor of clogged arteries, Kim, but it's better than all the other predictors put together: cholesterol, triglycerides, environment, DNA, uh, smoking, obesity. All those put together aren't the predictor that the earlobe crease is. So, and since then, in 2008, I believe the country of Denmark did a massive study, and the results came out the same, that that it is the best predictor. It doesn't go away when you do clear the cholesterol out. I had a lady call a radio show once and ask if she had plastic surgery on her earlobes, would it clear her arteries? Well, no, it doesn't work that way. In fact, as I say, you never lose the creases. I still have them in both ears, but it's something people could check. Just look in the mirror, and if you have the lines, a lot of ladies mistake it from their earrings. You know, they'll have earrings, and but no, you'll see a separate, distinct crease or line, and that's nature's way of letting us know, Kim. It's just too bad that Western medicine won't subscribe to it. They go by that blood cholesterol test,
Mhm.
perhaps the most meaningless test in medical history.
I was going to
Uh,
ask you that. Yeah.
oh, it's called the cholesterol myth. The blood system, arteries, veins, vessels, tiny capillaries you can't even see. We have 50,000 kilometers in each one of us, and that's because every cell, every grain of my hair, what's left, needs blood,
Yeah.
toenails, and every
Yeah.
cell in between. And so when we have restriction or blockage, we're going to have trouble. We mostly think about heart attack and stroke, which is a brain attack from too little oxygen. But trust me, wherever you have restricted or blocked blood flow, you're going to have a problem. Diabetics, it's their biggest problem is circulation. And excuse me, every diabetic should be on Strauss Heart Drops. And they are the only people, Kim, who really should take it for life. They don't need extra, they don't need big doses, but take it every day to ensure that circulation. I've seen some wonderful things happen where people have lost toes or lost a foot or lost a leg and didn't lose the other one after starting on the Strauss Heart Drops. Uh, just one second. I
Yeah,
need that
yeah, no
turned
worries.
off or down, please. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm
Uh,
surprised we haven't heard dogs barking around here or something.
yeah, well, you're gonna hear mine if he pipes up. He's a hell of a barker.
Yeah,
Anyway, yeah. So I wish that we could get some cooperation with Western medicine. But there's no money in natural medicine, Kim, and that's why they fight so hard against it. I mean,
yeah,
whenever natural's bad, there's something wrong.
yeah.
Nature had everything perfect, and the human body's an incredible piece of equipment, isn't it? What we can do to ourselves and survive is unbelievable. Couldn't do it with your
Well,
car or your furnace or your tractor. It'll stop running if
yeah.
you don't clean the filter and so on and so forth. Have the right fuel. But the human body's a tremendous thing, but it's not uh, infallible. We
No,
and
no,
and most
exactly.
of our problems we do to ourselves. I mean, using myself as an
Yeah.
example, uh, I did everything everything I did, I should say. Most everything is things that, with common sense, I shouldn't have done. Right from
Yeah.
smoking to eating to ice cream and you name it. But it's also, I believe, Kim, never too late to make the correction, change our
That's
lifestyle.
exactly right. Yeah, it's never too late. And
No,
we see that with the hair scans when Greg does the hair scans because your body only knows what your cells want and what they don't want. And when we do them, when we do the hair scan, people want to know, well, is it going to tell me I have this or that? But your cells don't know those words, right? Like your cells don't know those prescription drug
no,
diagnosis or anything like that. It's just doing what your body needs. And
yeah,
so the Strauss Heart Drops, I think, well, there's so many beauty things in those individual herbs, and that's what I tell people to look up is the role of each individual herb in that
yes.
formula.
And you notice in some of the formulas, the most complex is the menopause formula, Kim, has 20
Hmm.
herbs in it. And which I love about the Strausses, they realize that we're all different, like snowflakes, no two of us identical.
Right.
And if you look at that formula and do the bit of research as you suggest about every herb, you'll see that there's 2 and 3 herbs in that formula that claim to do the same thing, historically known to do the same thing. The reason Strauss did it is because of the differences in us. We're not the same
Mm-hmm.
as each other, we're not identical. And so they've tried to cut every angle, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And the menopause formula is the best one to note because it has um, the most number of herbs in it, and that's why they could have made it with 9 or 10 herbs,
Mm-hmm.
but then it wouldn't have been as effective as it is to so many people because Strauss Company guarantees your satisfaction, no matter what, no matter who and what you are. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. So I'm grateful they're so thorough in
Yeah.
in what they did. Making these.
Well, for people that are watching, we're gonna have a link for the listeners to actually go and order any of the products that Wayne talks about. So we will have that for people because you and I have, oh my gosh, we've been trying to get back together. I think our last radio show that I did with you, Wayne, was 2022, and that was literally when the radio station that I was on had censored my show. And
Right.
you had talked about having a flu bug, and they took that part out. And so that's when I said, you know what? Like, you and I had never had anything censored before that. And when we can't talk about the flu, like, I didn't want to take any, I didn't want any part of that.
Well, do you know how bad it is? I was doing a show in Winnipeg that I did quite a number of times, and what I said was, um, like the common cold and influenza B, COVID will become an endemic. When the pandemic's over, an endemic, which means it never ends. The
Just
common
never
cold's
ends.
never going to end. Influenza B is never going to end. And apparently COVID will never end. This is what the experts tell us. Well, some elderly lady called the show in Winnipeg and the government, Health Canada, to say, Wayne Elliott said that COVID is just like the common cold and influenza B.
No.
And so they took us off the radio. Health Canada went through the company like a dose of salts. And then finally I said, wait a minute, that was a pre-recorded show. Here's a good idea. Listen to the show. Because here's what I said. And I would never say, only an idiot would say there's no difference between the common cold and COVID. So when they listened to it, and the radio show lawyer was the first to, he said, you didn't say what that lady said. You said just what you said. I said, I know. So can we get on with it now that you've turned my life upside down for 3 months? And so, but that's how volatile it is. One person calls in, whether they're right or wrong, and the world can. It doesn't happen with pharmaceutical companies. The people die every day on drugs. But it's treated differently. Why? Because of MDs and pharmacists and the professionals involved.
So let's get back. So Jim basically saved his own life, right, by creating the Strauss Heart Drops for himself. And then after that, was it kind of like you, where they just started giving it to more people and helping more people and spread like that?
Yep, they sure did. That's when they really started in commercial business. Jim is a PhD electrical engineer by trade. And he was running Saskatchewan Hydro earlier days. And, they always had herbs and they would make medicine for people. And when Jim grew up, he said most of his time after his grandmother and aunts taught him what they taught him and how to make medicine, that mostly he traded for a slab of bacon or he said that pork soup, the good one that has an inch of fat when it gets cold, And then he had his heart attack at age 59 and learned a lot himself about what this cholesterol can do to us. But they have some incredible formulas. I wish that I could justify bringing all 50 back, Kim. We've got 10 now that I've brought back. But just incredible. Every one of them worked like a charm. And I wish eventually, hopefully we'll get there to have them all available again. Kidney stone formula. I mean, pass them in 13 days painlessly, like little green jellos, no pain, nothing intrusive, no lasers. They had just some fabulous formulas. So we do make some of them, as you know. Currently, it's private stock, not for resale, because I just couldn't stand not to have some of these formulas back. So for ourselves and friends, we have them, and eventually we'll get them. We'll get them back on the commercially available, I hope. Yeah.
Well, I want to do another show to talk about those female formulas in more depth. I really do, because that's been definitely a family history. Well, not that we believe it runs in the family, but my daughter and myself, like when I was younger, had a lot of problems with endometriosis and stuff. So that's something that we'll just leave the listeners with a teaser for that, because we'll talk about that another time. But I really wanted to do this show to kick this off, Wayne, because of for anybody listening that doesn't know, my personal story was that at age 57, my mom, who had been on a lot of drugs, I won't even go into that, but I'm talking like a lot of drugs, and tried the, different pharmaceuticals and everything. And at age 57, all of a sudden, she went from having a slight angina for years and to needing a triple bypass. And that surgery, she went into surgery. I was 25 at the time. And she went into that surgery. Our family totally thought it was something they do, a big London hospital and something they do every day, not to worry. It was just, a matter of course. But she didn't survive. Well, she did survive. The surgeon came out and said, we don't think your mom's going to make it through the night. And what they had done was they hadn't checked her legs to get the veins that they need to replace when they do the bypass. And she had her veins stripped many years before that. and they hadn't asked about that. So when they got into the surgery, they found out that my mom had had her veins stripped many years before. So without being able to get a viable artery or vein or whatever from her legs, they had, well, she went into cardiac failure on the table because the surgery was too hard on her. And then they tried to get a vein from up around her breast, but it was just too hard on her. So they couldn't even finish the surgery. When they came out into the waiting room, they said to my sister and I, we don't just came out just like, how you doing? You know, we don't think your mom's going to make it through the night. And so she lasted about a month. And what's really, really awesome that we're doing this right now, Wayne, is because I was trying the other night, I was trying to figure out why every August I I just have this foreboding, horrible feeling. Like I wouldn't call it a depression, but I like something doesn't feel right. And so the other night, Greg and I were looking back and I said, you know what? Like my mom had her surgery in August and she passed away in September. So she lasted a month on life support, basically. And then when they finally checked for brain activity at the end of that month, they told us that, did we want to keep her on life support or whatever. So it's my gift, just like yours, to pay this forward, because I wouldn't want anybody to go through that. I was 25, my mom was 57, and it was a medical blunder. Like they should have known that, but they should have known, we're not going to be able to do that. And I think she'd be alive to this day if I had heart drops. If I had the Strauss heart drops, my mom and my dad would still be alive. Well,
Yeah,
maybe not, because they'd be in their late 90s by now, but
right.
they would have definitely survived a lot of years.
You'd have had them a lot longer. The night I decided that I had to be involved in this somehow, other than taking the heart drops and the products, I
Right.
was in Florida and I was on my own. All the others, the kids were out with their grandma. I was sitting in this motel room and I got a pad and pen out and I just made a list of just the men, not some of the great women I've had in my life, but just the men that had I known about Strauss Heart Drops, just the men that had a profound effect on my life. I've been very lucky. I had some great mentors, some great people in my life. Um, but a list of those that could have been saved.
Hmm.
And when I got to 19 of them, uh, was a little emotional, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
And that's when I said, uh, I'm going to be involved, and with any luck, you know, this won't repeat itself the same way in the future, and that I'll be able to help more people. I was grateful. My mom and dad both had their lives extended thanks to these formulas. My dad, heart and prostate. Um, and so, yeah, I'll remain forever grateful. But you want everybody to have it. I want everybody to have what I got. I got my life back, Kim. Geez,
Yep. Yep.
I think I was lucky to make it the 5 years in between the heart attack and finding Strauss, because it was a downhill ride.
Yep.
And towards the end, I mean, I'm thinking it was just in time, because towards the end, I didn't know I had anxiety or depression. I'll never know which it was, really. I didn't know I had it until I didn't have it anymore after a few weeks on heart drops. That's when I
Mhm.
realized that, holy jeez, you shouldn't be in your bedroom 11 weekends in a row watching the History Channel, hoping the phone didn't ring,
Right.
and so forth. You lose your will. My favorite thing to do for life is throwing football, baseball, and I used to quarterback both teams when my sons would get their chums together and we'd have a game. And during that time, there was a few times they'd say, "Dad, do you want to come down on the beach?" And no, I just didn't have the will.
Hmm.
As much, even as
Hmm.
my favorite thing to do,
Yep.
I just didn't have the get up and go to do it. And
Yep.
so I'll be forever grateful. Boy, did it change my life. I mean, you know me, Kim. I've been like a house on fire ever since, really, and
Yep.
starting businesses. And I guess I'm addicted. I'm an entrepreneurial addict, I guess. I don't know, but I always liked it. I liked hiring people and working with people, creating jobs and so forth.
Yep.
Um, you know, and life can be pretty good if your health is pretty good.
And
And
if you
you
help
can
enough
be
people to get good health. That's what I think. Like, how old were you when you had that heart attack, Wayne?
35,
Yeah, so from
35.
35, to now, how many I would say hundreds of thousands of people that you've helped.
Well, I like to think that, but there sure have been thousands and thousands that the products have helped. And um, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
life wasn't very good for me from 35 to 40
Yep.
because I didn't feel well. I didn't have the energy. Then that anxiety, if that's what it was. But it can be pretty good. You have every chance if you have good health. You know, to
Yeah.
start something, to get a good job, to go to school, get some training, whatever you want. If you don't have good health, all the money in the world can't help you. You know.
Yeah. Do
Uh,
you think most of everything that we're discussing with the Strauss Heart Drops, it's blood flow, right? Like you can't live without blood flow.
no, it's the most important body function by far. The next thing in our body, uh, there's 9,000 kilometers of nerves. Well, that's about 20% as many as there is vessels and veins. So nerves, obviously, we couldn't live without those either.
Right. Yeah.
But they're just, I guess, the two most important things. And you know, the Western medicine again, Kim. It's like nails on a chalkboard to me. Talk to anybody who's had any heart issues, and they're on statin drugs and blood thinners, and
Mhm.
you know, the statin drugs, I'll bet you 95% or more of people that are on statins don't know this. They don't claim to, nor do those formulas remove 1 grain of cholesterol, not one. They don't claim to either.
Yeah.
They they claim to shutter or govern down your liver's function because your liver produces the cholesterol because we need some,
Yep.
and so to govern your liver down to produce less cholesterol, you're governing it down for the scores and scores of other jobs our liver has.
Yes.
You know, it just
Hundreds.
never
Yep.
made sense to me. Yet it's the biggest selling drug in the world. I'm not going to mention the name, but one of the
No.
statins is everybody knows the name, is the
Yep.
biggest selling drug in the world. And, you know, in my opinion, I swear, not only is it useless, it's harmful. And Jim
Well,
Strauss used to say the most insidious drug on the market. You
I was
know,
just gonna say, so one of Greg's clients had a hair scan, blah blah blah, and Greg doesn't. It's not our place to ask about anybody's drugs. Like we don't need to know that. We tell
right?
them what their body needs. But she had messaged me, I don't know, maybe a month after that. But anyway, so she was telling me how horrible she was feeling, and I said, that doesn't, you're following everything. Yep, yep, yep. And I said, well, it doesn't make sense. Well, then that's when she told me, she said, well, I said, well, what all are you taking? I meant like what vitamins and things like that. So she
Yeah,
sent me a picture of the vitamins she was taking, but then she sent me a picture of the list of the pharmaceuticals she was taking,
yeah,
which Greg never covers that with people. Like that's none of his business, right?
right.
So I said, okay, well, what I would suggest that you do, and I'm talking to everybody out there, I don't care who you are, you take that list and one by one, you take the name of that pharmaceutical drug and you go to Google, and in the top little thing, there's a little microphone on Google, and you click on that microphone and you say side effects of whatever that is.
Yeah,
So I told her, I said, you go through that list and I want you to just say the side effects of whatever that drug is. I don't need to know, but I want the person to do it.
yeah,
And she messaged me back. We were using the little voice thing in Messenger, but she messaged me back and she was almost in tears. She said, Kim, I'm only on two different ones right now. She didn't even realize that she was on two different cholesterol medications, and she didn't even know what they're for, basically. And that's not anybody's fault. But when you do that exercise of looking at each drug that you're taking and look up the side effects, and she said, I have every single side effect, and that's why she thought she had cancer. Like she thought she's feeling worse, right?
yeah. I say the same thing pretty much. I try to in every radio show, Kim, is because so many people are on so many pharmaceuticals,
Yep.
to please read your paperwork and identify the potential serious side effects and common side effects, so that if you end up suffering one or more, you can talk to your doctor,
Yes.
and he or she may choose to change the type of pill, change the dosage. But if you don't know, like you say, this friend of yours that thought she might have had cancer, if you don't know, then you don't know. So it's very important. I'm not trying to promote pharmaceuticals, but so many people
No.
are on them. My best pal and old football teammate, Joe, when he moved into my house, he was on 13 drugs.
Oh
He
my
weighed
God.
400 pounds and had everything wrong. I mean, everything you can think of. Horrible diabetes, 3 black toes, tumor on his kidney, sleep apnea, enlarged heart, irregular heartbeat, high blood pressure. Terrible. I mean, that can happen when you get to be 400 pounds to start with. And
Mhm.
he did some of the stupid things like I did with his habits, diets, and so forth. And Joe went to the doctor when he first moved in here with me, and he came home with 3 more prescriptions. That was 16. And Joe, God love him, was lazy. He wouldn't read. And even when he was a car dealer, he wouldn't read about the models of the car salesman. He wouldn't read about the models. He just was a lazy reader.
Yep.
And he asked me, would I check in my drug book of contraindications, were these new 3 okay? Turned out 2 of the 3 contraindicated with some of the drugs he was already on. And that was enough to convince him that, okay, Wayne, I'll do whatever you want me to do. I had him on the heart drops and liver. He lost 60 pounds in 60 days.
Wow.
Went from 400 to 340 in 60 days. Used the bathroom a dozen times a day. The poison that came out of him, Kim, was unbelievable.
Yep.
And in a year and a half, doing it safely, you got to be careful with these drugs. Some of
Yep.
them are more dangerous to stop suddenly than they are to take in the first place. So we were very careful. He was on the herbs a good long time and then reducing the amount of the others. And in 18 months, when he moved out of my house, maybe it was 20 months. Anyway, about a year and a half, he was on no drugs. He was 240 pounds
Wow.
and went back to work. He went and ran our railway yard, climbing rail cars and all the rest of it. And he should have been the poster boy for Strauss, really.
Mhm.
It was just
Mhm.
amazing what happened with Joe. But, the other thing is this, Kim, they test these pharmaceuticals on their studies one at a time.
One at a time.
And to be a candidate for that test study, you must have a clean body. You're on nothing. You're on no pharmaceuticals. They
Yeah.
test them one at a time, and then we can end up on 2, 4, 6, 16 drugs.
Yeah.
I don't think our bodies know what to do with all that. I really
No.
don't. And
No.
it's not often you'll see a person who's on a ton of pharmaceuticals go, I feel like $1,000,000. I could run a marathon. No, I've never
No.
met any of those.
No.
And the trouble is you never get off them. If they work to fix anything, Kim, you
That
might
would be
hear from the
different.
doctor, hey, your blood pressure is normal, Kim. You can stop that now. I
Yeah.
don't think anybody's ever heard that in the history of time, So,
No.
you know,
No.
that's what I love about natural. Our body knows what to do with natural substances. So what's important for folks to know is there are no contraindications with any pharmaceuticals. It's as different as food and man-made chemical drugs. And so that's important to be safe, right? If I
Yeah.
thought I hurt somebody, I'd quit. I
Yeah.
really would. That's not what I'm into.
Yeah.
So it's safe. Your body knows what to do with natural substances. You couldn't overdose if you tried. You'll go to the bathroom.
Yeah. I was just gonna say you'll just spend the night in the bathroom. That's it.
Yeah, you can't overdose on apples or asparagus or cabbage.
No.
Your body knows what to do. So it's no different with these 100% natural formulas. And I love that too, that you can't hurt. I don't know if the lecture was with you down in Leamington, but years ago, I drank a 1 month supply of heart drops during the 2-hour lecture.
Yeah. I
Just to
think it
show
was when
people,
you were here in Chatham. Yep.
I think it was too,
Yep.
just to show people you have nothing to fear. It's
Yep.
46 years now, and not one complaint of of a serious harm or side effect has been reported to the company, to Health Canada, or to the FDA in the States, we have to assume it's safe after 46 years, Kim.
Well, safe and effective. That's the other thing I tell people. Like when something has been on the market for this long, still a top selling product, still, not harming anybody, but still on the market this long, it's got to be good. Like look how fast there's new things coming out every day. Like every day, lists of new things, right? So when something is time tested, I'd rather put my time and money on that.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I agree.
Yep, time tested.
So, when it's natural's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Natural's a good thing. There's so many things that aren't natural today. I mean, nature can be fierce. There's a heck of a hurricane brewing in the Atlantic again. So, I mean, nature can be the most powerful thing on earth, certainly. But I do believe what Jim Strauss always said, that nature has provided everything our bodies will ever need. Now that has changed, Kim, since most of our food, the great majority of our food, 93% of what's in large grocery chain food stores is or contains genetically modified organisms. So this is the most important days, and I don't mind saying a great reason for younger people to start some preventative action, because your food they don't have the food that I had until about age 19 or 20, when the tomato was the first GMO attempt. It was a terrible attempt. And today, how much real food are they getting that's not seedless or man-made? So never been a more important time to supplement. Not only to clean your systems and your various organs and so forth, but to supplement, because we're just not getting it from our food. Add the chemicals that surround us in this world. It's a rigged game against humans now, Kim. It's a rigged game.
And that I think we should end it here. Greg's kind of gonna kick us off, but I think we're gonna leave it at that. And on that note, the reason that it is very important is because of exposure. So exposures to chemicals in your home, exposure to chemicals in your water, in your air, like it is endless now, and it's not going to get any better. I don't want to sound doomsday, but we do want that prevention message going out there, right? The best way to cure anything is to prevent it. So
when something's going to happen to one out of every two of us, maybe consider, it might be us. That's the one out of two. You got a 50% chance of being inflicted with one of these serious things. So act accordingly, I think.
Yeah. So if you had one statement because you and I are going to do more of these, so we are going to be back. But what would the one thing that you would recommend that the listeners do?
Be a part of your own health choices. That's it. I used to joke, if you recall, at lectures, I'd start out by saying, if your doctor told you to go out in the barn, get a big pitchfork and eat, what, you'd do it. And everybody would laugh, and I'd say, no, you'd do it.
You would.
Then we'd get into the talk. But, be a part of your own. There's nothing more important to you in your life, Kim, than your own health. So be a part of it. Be some part of it. Take at least enough interest. So I used to get so kind of stressed when people say, oh, my doctor made me go on this and that. And then I started saying to people, he made you. What do you do? Tie you down and shove it in one of your orifices? Or what do you mean? How do you make you? So it's just our mindset is the doctor says to do it, we got to do it. But I just wish people be part of their own choices, which of course involves prevention, do some activity. Look at Greg. He looks like he could play in the NFL still at his age. It's fabulous. I won't get to where you are, Greg, at 72, but I'm going to work.
Yeah, you will.
I'm going to work on it.
Yeah,
I don't think the New York Jets are calling. I've been waiting for a long time, and I'm convinced they're never calling.
Well, we'll
listen, everybody.
We'll talk on that for sure.
I think we're going to sign off now. Wayne, I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to tell everybody we're going to put a link to the Strauss Heart Drops on here for everybody to go to the website. I want to thank you so much, Wayne, and let's book another one. I want to talk about the female formulas and how we can help all those women out there with all the challenges they're going through right now.
You bet. Thanks for having me, and you just let me know when, and we'll do it, Kim.
You betcha we will. All right.
Have a great day, both of you.
Everybody.
Good to
Yep.
see you again.
Yes, you as well. Take care,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye.